Hello, everyone. It's a very special time of the year. It's a time of the year where Bob goes over his favorite TV series from 2025, and Matt makes fun of him. Matt says his choices are ridiculous. Matt calls him a pretentious asshat. And maybe if we're lucky, Matt will bless us with his own picks for the year.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You didn't watch any TV in 2025, Matt?
Yeah, I watched some TV. I've got a couple of things to name off, but I don't think you're be too appreciative of it.
Oh, that's the best part. That's the best part. So this is Uncanny Tracks. I'm Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. We're running down Bob's best TV of 2025. In part because Bob got hooked on wrestling in 2025. There are not 10 shows. Even if I hadn't been hooked on wrestling, I don't know if I would have watched 10 shows that I wanted to put on a best of list. So we're stuck with 7.
Yeah, there's not a lot of really good TV this year. I'm seeing that as I feel this. We said the same thing about the movies.
Yeah, I'm feeling the loss of the number of options more in movies than I am in TV. And I will say there is one show we'll get to, number one, that somewhat restores my my hope and my faith in TV as a medium.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll put that as a teaser when I get to know my number one. Like, I really do think this show. Probably it won't, because I don't think anything will. But it's the only show I've seen in a couple of years that's really like pushing the grounds of what TV is and what it can be, in a way that most of these are just very solid genre shows that I enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the show, I've gone through your list, Bob, and I will say that I've watched some of these, so it makes me feel a little better to know that, yeah, we do have some common interest here when it comes to TV.
Nice. More so with TVs than movies, it would seem.
Yes, very much so.
All right. So the first thing on my list, number seventh best show of the year, Dark Winds season 3. This has been on my list all 3 years that it's been airing. It continues to be a very solid little neo-Western police procedural that's set in the Navajo Nation. I continue to maintain that it's by far the best show with George R.R. Martin as a producer. That's even more relevant to say as we're in 2026 and Night of the Seven Kingdoms has come out. I haven't watched it. I'm not going to, but I still maintain this is better than that. It is coming back for season 4. I think season 4 is actually starting next month in February 2026. I'm looking forward to it. In season 4, we're going to get the god Titus Welliver, who he played Silas Adams on Deadwood. And did you ever watch Harry Bosch on Prime, Matt?
No, I didn't.
He played the cop Harry Bosch on Prime too. I've never watched that. I've always meant to, but I never have. But really like Titus Welliver. Really excited to see him in Dark Winds next season. But this season was still really good. We had Jerry Ryan in this season. She was in a smaller role than she was in season 2, but she continues to be the most attractive woman I've ever seen with an oxygen tank. And I will say, to tease listeners, that's only the first of a couple of Star Trek Voyager connections as I go down my best of TV for this year. So love Dark Wind season 3. I really want to say that the 3 leads in this show, Zane McLaren, Kiowa Gordon, and Jessica Matten, are all great. I really, really would love to see them like pop up on like a future Star Trek show. Although in a way, I want them all to have much better and more successful careers than that. But I think they would all also be great on Star Trek.
Yeah. You continually tell me about this show, and I never watch it, so I probably need to just give it a chance.
It's not, again, I really like it. It's very fun. My boys and I had a particularly funny, almost religious experience with the show in the first season that I won't explain because it's too dumb to explain. But you don't expect too much out of it. But if like you and your wife just want, like if you've run out of like Criminal Minds episodes and you just want a solid, a solid police show that's actually a lot better than Criminal Minds or Law and Order, this is like a really good show for you and the wife to watch.
Okay, yeah. So, Bob, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Godfather of Harlem season 4. This may turn out to be the last season of Godfather of Harlem, Matt. We're not sure. It hasn't been renewed. This season aired back in the summer of 2025. It seems like traditionally it takes 2 years to produce a season of Godfather of Harlem. So I guess the fact that we don't know that there's going to be a 5th season doesn't for sure mean that it's canceled, because the soonest we would expect a season 5 would be summer of 2027. but the fact that we don't know that there's going to be a fifth season probably tends to suggest there won't be. And Dark Winds, I was just talking about, you can watch that usually on AMC Plus, although AMC often farms it out to other streaming services. I've watched some of Dark Winds on HBO Max. I don't think it's currently on HBO Max, though. Godfather of Harlem, I think his home is now MGM Plus, but it's also on Hulu, and that's where I watched it all, was on Hulu. Matt, did you ever see from the 90s the Lawrence Fishburne movie Hoodlum?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I do believe I did. Yeah.
In that movie, Lawrence Fishburne is playing a Harlem gangster in, I believe it's the 30s.
Yeah.
Called Bumpy Johnson, and that's the same character that Forrest Whitaker is playing in Godfather of Harlem, but Forrest Whitaker is playing Bumpy Johnson much later in his life. Godfather of Harlem is set in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then also, have you ever seen the Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe movie, American Gangster?
Yes, I've definitely seen American Gangster.
Okay, so the gangster that Denzel plays in that, Frank Lucas, he was like the driver and like student of Bumpy Johnson, and that a young version of Frank Lucas shows up in this latest season of Godfather of Harlem, season 4. So we're dealing loosely with like real gangsters in Harlem. They've also got a bunch of Italians who are real.
Okay.
I think that noise is probably going to come through.
Sorry, I'm trying to stop it from doing it. There you go. Okay. All right.
Nice.
There you go.
But yeah, and did you ever watch the HBO show Boardwalk Empire?
Oh yeah, I've watched it. Yeah. I watched the first couple of seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, this is basically exactly like Boardwalk Empire, where it's like, on the one hand, it's like mobster action, but on the other hand, it's a bunch of like political and cultural cameos from the decade that it's set in.
Right.
Boardwalk Empire, that was the 20s. Here it's the 60s. In earlier seasons of the show, you had like Malcolm X and Adam Clayton Powell, who was the congressman from Harlem. They were like major characters in the show, and they were great. The Malcolm X and Adam Clayton Powell stuff was actually a lot better than the mob stuff in the show. But unfortunately, they recast Malcolm X for reasons we're not sure about, and then they dropped Adam Clayton Powell, who was actually being played by Giancarlo Esposito, Gus from Breaking Bad. Yeah, they dropped them. And they also dropped, the best mob character was Vincent D'Onofrio, played real-life mobster Chin Gigante, but they dropped Adam Clayton Powell and Chin Gigante from season 4. So, it wasn't season 4 was definitely not as strong a season as the first 3, or really the first 2, but still enjoyed it. And you get some fun cameos, or not even cameos, you get some fun guest appearances in season 4. The writers James Baldwin and Truman Capote have very interesting appearances in season 4, and Tupac Shakur's mom, who was in the Black Panthers, is a semi-important character in season 4.
And guys, if you don't know Esposito from Breaking Bad, you may know him from Captain America. He played Sidewinder.
Yeah, man.
The character he was born to play.
I can't believe how ridiculous the MCU is, that they wasted Giancarlo Esposito on Sidewinder.
Yeah, there was so much better fan casting for him across the board.
I was telling Noah as we were watching TV, like I wouldn't really have wanted him as Doctor Doom, but compared to Robert Downey Jr., he's so much better casting as Doctor Doom. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. is just not even funny. Well, to move on to issue number 5, Matt. Number 5, I'm going to go with the miniseries Dope Thief on. Is it Apple Plus? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, Apple Plus. I've actually heard of this one, which I've considered watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only 8 episodes, so it's very manageable, and there's not going to be any more. And honestly, this and Godfather of Harlem, Dope Thief and Godfather of Harlem, probably not better than Dark Winds, but I talk about Dark Winds every year, so I ranked it below Godfather of Harlem and Dope Thief just for the sake of novelty. This is also, Dope Thief is the first good thing I saw on Apple Plus, and really, except for my number 1, it's the only good thing I saw on Apple Plus. And I saw a lot of letterboxed and serialized reviewers say that Dope Thief should have just been a movie. And usually I agree with that. Usually, anytime I watch a miniseries, I'm like, yeah, that should have just been a movie. But this is the one time where I think this miniseries did have a couple of like basically bottle episodes that you couldn't have done in the same way in a movie. And so I was glad this was a miniseries. I do think it's too long. I think they could have shortened it maybe an episode or two, and they maybe could have made the end a bit stronger. But on the whole, I like Dope Thief quite a lot. It stars Brian Tyree Henry, who you've seen in Godzilla vs. King Kong, both of those. I love him as Paperboy from Atlanta. And then it also stars Wagner Moura, who plays Pablo Escobar on Narcos. He's a Brazilian actor. I talked about him in our best movies of 2025. And basically, Wagner Moura and Brian Tyree Henry are recovering addicts who pretend to be DEA agents to rob drug dealers around Philly. And then to give you a slight spoiler, we have V. Grimes from Pulp Fiction, and we have Kate Mulgrew, Captain Janeway, are playing Brian Tyree Henry's parents, and they are amazing as Brian Tyree Henry's parents.
Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna give this one a shot. We have the like a 3 month subscription to it or whatever, when you get like for free or something like that, and this one has popped up on there several times. I just haven't clicked it yet.
Yeah, this and the number one show are the only things worth watching on Apple. And I again, I don't know your wife's taste very well, but I could see you and her enjoying this and the number one pick when we get to it.
All right, Bob. So number 4, I'm very familiar with, and I actually did watch.
All right, do you want to talk about it just to have some variety?
Yeah. So Righteous Gemstones season 4, Bob. I'm going to say this, and this is in your notes for this as well, but I did think the show went too long when we were hitting season 3 and they started doing weird stuff that I didn't like. I was like, this has just gone too far. It's just, they should have chopped it off at season 2. But here we are, we got to season 4 and they brought it back. And it's so much better than what season 3 was.
They give John Goodman a lot more to do in this season than in season 3 as well.
A hell of a lot more. And even with the de-aging stuff they did with a lot of the scenes, for the flashback scenes, it still turned out really well. And this is definitely this is a series finale, I believe. I don't think they're going to go any further with this.
This is the final show.
Yeah, so
this is the final season. Yeah.
Right. So they didn't really have much more. They didn't really have anywhere else to go after this.
Yeah. And they have one bit in this, like Walton Goggins has a pitch for a movie called Teenjus.
Yeah.
Not Teen Jesus, Teenjus.
Teenjus.
And yeah, man, Noah and I are going to be making references to that for the rest of our lives. It's so funny.
Yeah, I love his Baby Billy Bible Bonkers or whatever it's called, the Family Feud show that is literally just Family Feud.
That was more season 3.
It was, yeah. It was season 3. Like that, Walton Goggins is the best part of just any show he ends up in. So please continue that. Like, I don't know how to make sure that continues to happen, but some of the stuff you omitted on here that I'm going to talk about later, he's a huge part of that as well.
Oh, funny. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing whatever Danny McBride does next on HBO after Righteous Gemstones, because we had Eastbound and Down, we had Vice Principals, we had this. Really looking forward to the next show, and I really hope Walton Goggins is in it. And I trust he will be, since he was in both this and Vice Principals.
All right, Bob, number 3.
Number 3, Matt. So number 4 was the final season of Righteous Gemstones. Number 3 is the second season of Wolf Hall. It's a 2-season miniseries and kind of an amusing connection that both it and Righteous Gemstones are dealing with powerful religious families and machinations among them. This is based off a trilogy of novels about the rise and fall of Henry VIII's kind of vizier or advisor, Thomas Cromwell. I've never read the novels, and the first season of this miniseries came out like 10 years ago, and I just had never had any interest, but a couple friends said some really good things about this when season 2 started. So for medical reasons, I had to be back home with the family a lot this year, so I watched both seasons of the show with my mother while I was back, and I was really impressed with the show. I particularly want to shout out the performance of Damian Lewis as Henry VIII. He's just such an evil guy. It was really really loathsome performance as Henry VIII, and my mother really hated really hated him. So that was very charming. And then the lead in the movie playing Thomas Cromwell is Mark Rylance. He's great. Jonathan Pryce, who you remember as the High Sparrow in Game of Thrones, is Mark Rylance, Cromwell's mentor. That's also a really great performance. So just a really good, really beautiful miniseries. Nice way to end it all up, 10 years later.
All right, Bob, and then you've got number 2.
Yeah. So number 2 is the Lowdown Season 1. This is the second show that the Creek writer, or the Muskogee writer, Sterling Harjo did. He did the comedy Reservation Dogs that I listed on a prior year. Like Reservation Dogs, this is set in eastern Oklahoma, but the Reservation Dogs was set on like the Muskogee Reservation in eastern Oklahoma. This is set in the city of Tulsa. It's also vastly better than Tulsa King, the other show I watched this year set in Tulsa. And it's basically a PI buddy cop show where Ethan Hawke and Keith David are the PIs. They're great. They're really charming together. Keith David's character is a PI. Ethan Hawke's character is just basically a PI, but it's not actually a PI. You also have Cal McLaughlin in this playing a crooked gubernatorial candidate. And you have a lot of references to Jim Thompson, who's the great Oklahoma noir writer. He has the nickname Dime Store Dostoevsky that I've always really liked. So I really strongly recommend Lowdown Season 1 to you and the wife, Matt. I think you would like it.
All right, Bob. And then your number 1 choice.
My number 1 show... Go ahead,
Matt. I have not watched the entire season yet, but I've watched the first couple episodes, and I have enjoyed it very much. And it's one of the reasons that we did go ahead and load up the free subscription thing to Apple Plus.
Nice. Yeah. Do you want to go and say what it is?
So, Bob, it's Pluribus Season 1.
Yeah. So it's Vince Gilligan's third show. At least third show is running it. And like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, it's like really glacially paced, right? It's very slow in parts. And it also sometimes feels like they took a 20-minute Twilight Zone episode and they blew it up into a modern multi-season show. But honestly, like I think it's really restoring my faith that TV can be special, right? Like it's pretty unpredictable. I have no idea where it's going. I feel like they only have about a season of TV left. Like I feel like this is just another season, but I also have no idea what they're going to do in that next season. I could also see them stretching it out quite a bit more. I think in total I watched about 15 mediocre new seasons of TV this year that I didn't put on either the best or the worst list. And, I just didn't care enough one way or the other. And so in that context, I'm so grateful to have Pluribus Season 1.
Yeah, Bob, I agree. That so far what I've watched so far has been really awesome. And I'm looking forward to finishing up with the wife.
I feel like you're about 4 episodes in?
Yeah, I'm about 4 episodes in, yeah.
Nice. And it's about 8 episodes?
Yes, I'm about halfway through.
Nice.
One show, though, I wanted to mention a couple of shows that I would recommend maybe. And I've recommended these on previous episodes because this is the 3rd season of this particular show, White Lotus, that does include Walton Goggins on it.
Fun.
And it is fantastic. I don't feel it was as strong as the previous season, but having Walton Goggins on there just added, that extra piece that makes it better. It also has Carrie Coon, who I don't know if you're familiar with. She's on it.
I know of her. She was in, I think, Fargo season 3, and really good in that. And then I've heard she's really good in The Leftovers, but I've never watched The Leftovers.
Yeah. And then the other recommendation, Bob, I would make would be Severance Season 2, finished up in 2025, and that's a fantastic show.
That's also on Apple?
It is. And it's just about the duality of your job persona and your regular life, like your real life, and how they can be split or severed.
Yeah, so with White Lotus, I'll probably go ahead and maybe watch that with Noah at some point if he's interested. I'm not uninterested in White Lotus, but I was just not deeply interested in it. And some of the earlier discussion about it was mildly annoying me. So yeah. That was why I didn't really make a point of seeing it before now. I have to say, I don't know, man. I'm gonna wait and see what people think of later seasons of Severance, but I get the impression because I have to read a lot of student papers about Severance.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I get the impression that I might not like Severance.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It might just be that I'm just having to read student papers about it.
You just know it's hitting that broader audience, and you're worried it's gonna alienate you.
Something like that. Well, and I do, and since I have you here talking about both shows, I do want to ask, how would you compare Severance and Pluribus so far?
I would well, I'll just put it this way. My wife was stuck on Severance, wanted to watch every single episode. The reason we haven't finished Pluribus is because of that glacial pace you talked about earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just kind of like she just hasn't been as interested in it, I think, because of that. So Severance is much faster paced, kind of leaves you with a cliffhanger every episode, stuff like that.
Yeah, whereas Pluribus has cliffhangers, but like the progress in the episode can feel pretty slow.
Correct.
Although I do think Pluribus is good at like making the episodes like feel self-contained in an interesting way. Like you obviously need to watch them all, in order, but they feel a little, I don't know, they feel more complete to me. Whereas a lot of shows, and I'm not sure if Severance does this, but a lot of shows, it just feels like each episode only has identity in as much as it leads to the next one.
So, Bob, I did pull a list of Metacritic's top shows of 2025.
Hit us.
So, number one was The Pit on HBO.
Oh yeah, which is basically just a ER revival, from what I understand.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
It's Noah Wiley from ER, and apparently just the Michael Crichton widow is like very difficult to work with and very difficult to get the rights to ER from, and so they just rebranded it as The Pit.
Okay.
I'm not super likely to do it, but I think I'm more likely to go back and watch old episodes of ER than I am to watch The Pit, quite frankly. But I don't have anything against it. I'm just not super likely to get into it.
So number two, Bob, was Andor.
That's garbage. I will say I did watch all of Andor, and I did not hate it as much as when I tried to watch season 1 a couple of years ago, but Andor, I think, is aggressively mediocre TV. I don't understand why people are over the moon on it. It's one of those 15 seasons of mediocre TV I was mentioning.
All right, number three was Adolescence on Netflix. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that, but I don't really know what it is.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like it would be for me.
Number four was Pluribus, which you mentioned.
Way too low.
Yeah. Number five was The Studio on Apple TV.
Never heard of that.
Number six was Severance on Apple TV.
Okay.
Number seven was The Rehearsal on HBO.
I think I've heard of that, but I have no idea what it is.
Number eight was Dying for Sex on FX.
I've seen that advertised on Hulu, but never watched it.
Number 9 was The Lowdown on FX.
Yeah, that I picked that.
Yeah, and then number 10 was The Cheer Company on HBO.
Man, nothing against that. I tried that. It's too awkward. I can't handle it.
And then I'm not going to go over the rest of the list, but I think it's funny though that number 11 is Alien Earth.
Oh yeah, well that sets us up for some foreshadowing, listeners, because right after we release the best of TV, we're going to talk about the worst of 2025 in TV. So join us on the next episode, please. I'm Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. This has been Uncanny Treks. Have a good night.
Thanks for listening.